Hello, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the JMac podcast. I'm John McMahon, and of course, this podcast is kindly brought to you by YourGarachi.com. Use my promo code JMac podcast to get 15% off on their website. And tonight, I'm joined by former Dublin footballer Shane Carthy to run the rule on all of this weekend's championship action, and of course, a word on last weekend's league finals as well. So, really looking forward to catching up with Shane today. How are you, Shane?
Good, John. How are you?
Good, sir. Good, all good. It's hard to believe we've championship right and coming in hot and heavy this weekend. I don't know what it's like over in Boston, but we're still waiting for the sun to come out. But I suppose we're all still trying to acclimatise to the early championship. But are you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. It's an unusual element still in my head that championship football is played in the first weekend or second weekend in April. But no, I think everyone's looking forward to it. Couple of nice fixtures to start early as well can kind of hopefully light the championship on fire.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look forward to now. And I obviously think the standout game this weekend has to be that Armagh and Tyrone game in the Athletic Grounds on Sunday. I think there'll be a large crowd at that. So really looking forward to that. Just a quick, obviously, brief word on last weekend's league final, Shane. Obviously, Donegal coming out top in Division 1. A really impressive performance, Shane. Kerry just looked like they kind of folded early on, really, and just nearly bizarre, maybe how Kerry performed in large parts of that game, Shane, really, and Donegal ate them alive. And obviously, the talk points around Michael Murphy and everything going on, and a lot of people saying he's just a born winner and he just do what it takes to win, I suppose. But obviously, play within the rules is important too. But it was a big win for Donegal.
Yeah, massive. I think they needed that off the shoulders fairly more than Kerry needed it, and you can see that hunger coming out of the Donegal players. I don't know if that was really there for Kerry. It was, is there maybe an element of the Kerry cuteness of sure it's only the league, and just trying to not show their hand. I know they've got a lot of guys still to come back into their championship team, so it was still very much league team for Kerry. Whereas I think that Donegal were basically going full guns blazing and they needed the win more than Kerry. But there was definitely a lot of bright points from Donegal in terms of going after the kick out. Like that was fairly evident that they just were, putting a lot of big guys in the middle and flooding the breaks to go after the Kerry kick out. And you could see that intensity throughout that middle third.
Yeah, really interesting game, and I think Donegal really did kind of look up for it, and Kerry were just the polar opposite chain. I think Kerry probably severe favourites going into it. Really, like a lot of people are just saying, like, they just nearly handed them trophy. But it's funny, Jack O'Connor maybe after the game, obviously, kind of, I know obviously Michael Murphy, that was probably one of the main talking points. Talking about his, I suppose, tackle or whatever, and the behaviour he got up to, but it was, going into the championship, not maybe the performance Kerry would have wanted.
No, definitely not. You never want to lose a game in Croke Park in particular, but I think Kerry are just still very good at learning from those defeats. So I 100% wouldn't write them off. I obviously do think now Donegal will be slight favourites going into the All Ireland series, but I think Kerry will, they'll dust themselves off. They'll pick up a lot of learnings from that game. They'll probably realise they're not as good as they thought they were. They probably need to get the likes of Paddy Clifford back. He was massive in the All Ireland final last year, so he's someone that they really do need just to kind of link the play between that half forward line and midfield area to the likes of David Clifford, because unfortunately he can't get the ball from his own kick out and run the whole pitch and score like an under 10s game,
I wouldn't
unfortunately.
put it past him though. He's
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him. Yeah, but that was clear that Donegal, a way of restricting Clifford was be to keep him in the full forward line and not let the ball get down to their end of the pitch. And so yeah, I think look, Kerry, I 100% would not rule them out. I think they're still a phenomenal team. They just had one bad day. They were very flat on the day and they never really got going. So I think they'll dust themselves off and go again.
Yeah, no, I think so. And then the Division Two winners on this particular year was Meath. Meath obviously having a very good win against Cork last weekend, Shane. And Meath really are the form team of the country at the minute. Everyone is really talking about them. Robbie Brennan has a real kind of feel good factor going on there at the minute, and all the players are buying in, and they've really adapted really well to the new rules as well, Shane. So Meath will be very happy going into the championship.
Yeah, definitely. I probably
What's
would
your
have
delight?
them. Yeah, yeah. I probably would have them as favourites for the Leinster Championship now. Obviously, based off that win last week, it was a massive win in Croke Park as well, and you can't underestimate the value of getting wins like that in Croker. And I think that they've got a lot of young players coming through. The likes of Jordan Morris is probably in his prime right now, so they've got a good balance of young guys coming through, experienced guys in their prime, and then as well as a couple of older heads like Menton as well in around the middle. So I think they'll be a definite force in Leinster. And in Cork as well. In fairness to them, they gave a good performance. They've got a couple of really good forwards up front. Um, I wouldn't rule them out giving a good contest against Kerry in a Munster final.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was obviously a very good Meath performance, and I think Cork were very, very good, and it's good to see a strong Cork and Meath team again, Shane, and let's hope they can keep that consistency up. Obviously, Meath have been doing really well in the last 2 years or so. But let's hope Cork can keep that consistency up, keep getting to Croke Park, keep putting in big performances against the bigger teams, and let's see can we see a bit of consistency from them. And moving on to the Division Three winners, obviously Down had a very good win, after extra time against Wexford, and Wexford really did put it up to them. And John Hegarty, the manager, saying afterwards that no one was giving them any credit, everyone ripped them off. And in fairness, Wexford played some really good football, maybe a bit light up top, the shooting, the scoring efficiency probably wasn't just fantastic. Down the big game against Donegal and Ulster, and that'll not be easy by any stretch. But Conor Lafferty probably not overly pleased with the Down performance. But look, Shane, they got the job done.
Yeah, I was obviously delighted to see Wexford back in a Crow Park in a really competitive game as well. They were uh, last ditch efforts flying in. They had a load of blocks. Again, great to see Wexford back competing. They'll be good. I think going to Division Two will be massive for their development. I think, like you said, they probably just ran out a bit of steam, and you could see Down seem to be a bit fitter. They've got more legs in the middle third, I felt. But Down, like you said, it was probably a little disappointing. I think they are a Division Two team as well, so it'd be interesting to see how they get on next year in terms of they've got an unlucky draw, like you said, against Donegal. So I think for them, it's just all about progressing one step at a time. And the same for Wexford, like massive just to get back into Division Two. Considering where they were, in the early 2000s, they were competing in Leinster final. So I'd like to see them get back to those days.
Of course, last division, Shane, Carlow coming out on top as Division 4 champions after beating Longford in again extra time. So they really had to go to full hog in this particular game. And, we hear that hashtag a couple of years ago, but Carlow rising under Stevie Poacher and Turlock O'Brien. So maybe the good times are back for Carlow football.
Yeah, definitely another great to see Leinster teams getting back into the mix and winning in Crow Park. A good friend of mine, Jordan Marcy, is probably one of Carlo's best players, and he's over in
Yeah,
Boston at the moment.
brilliant.
And so I know he was delighted to see Carlo win, and there was great scenes of Sunday and Monday clubs all over Carlo
Brilliant.
town. So yeah, delighted for them as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was great to see Carlo getting the win, and obviously Joe Murphy, the manager as well. He seems very driven, and obviously done such good work with the NA senior footballers as well. And we know about the success that he has. So obviously wishing Carlo the very best going forward. And of course, Longford come up short in a National League final. Longford will be back again, and they have a lot of hunger up there and a lot of desire. So let's just see where it takes them going into next year in Division Three, Shane, for both counties, and then of course, Shane. The championship is back on Saturday, the 11th of April, in the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarter final. You have London against Mayo in McGovern Park in Ruislip at 2:30 on Saturday, Shane. So, okay, let's not beat around the bush, Shane. Probably a bit of a foregone conclusion, probably a bit of an exercise nearly for Mayo in this particular game. A trip over to London any weekend, maybe a bit of a get together after the game, and a few beers, maybe for the Mayo lads if Andy Moore lets the hair down. But look, I think we know who's going to get the job done. But can London put in a performance, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I think for London, they'll be just trying to damage limitation, really. Unfortunately, like Mayo will be, I'd say, using that weekend as nearly a training weekend. Um, I know they have Kobe McDonald is traveling, but he's not playing because of the under 20 involvement. So I'd say they just want to have as much of their squad there together. And the big thing for them is they've obviously a new management team, so they'll be trying to build that camaraderie and try and build something over the next 2 3 weeks that they can really push on into the Connacht Championship. That's probably the one that they'll be really earmarking is trying to win Connacht again.
Yeah, yeah, I think Mayo will be all guns blazing for Connacht this year. Would you obviously you give the Mayo the big shout now, wouldn't you? And you would.
Yeah, it's tough. I think Mayo and Galway really. I'm not sure if they're on either side of the draw, but I think Mayo need the win more than Galway do, and sometimes that hunger can deliver an extra 10 or 20% of a performance. Whereas I think Galway might be having one eye on a Sam Maguire series as opposed to winning the Connacht, so they'll need to be careful about that. I'd say it's honestly a flip of a coin between Galway and Mayo at the moment.
Roscommon.
Roscommon, you wouldn't rule them out beating one of the two. I just don't know if they'd be able to beat both of them. That might be Roscommon's downfall, in my opinion, would be their consistency. And you might see that you saw that in a little bit in the league where they had a couple of big performances, but then a couple of poor performances, like their performance against Dublin at home. I was expecting a bit more out of them. So I think consistency will be the thing for Roscommon that might let them down.
Yeah, coming down the stretch, Shane, make no doubt about it. And then in the Leinster Senior Football Championship, round one on Saturday, you've Offaly against Laois in Glennis, O'Connor Park at 6:15. Really interesting game, that one, Shane. Obviously, Offaly just could not buy a win in Division 2 this year, unfortunately went down. And obviously, my own County Cavan obviously they put a huge test against us a couple of weeks ago in Tullamore and like nearly got the job done against us. And obviously Cavan's want was greater in that particular game. But I'm expecting a big performance from Offaly this weekend. And obviously Laois come to town. Obviously Laois had a very good league campaign as well. So that's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, I again toss of a coin between that one. It really just depends on what kind of team shows up for Offaly. If it's the team of maybe last year where they had a serious amount of hunger and aggression, then I would have fancied them. I'd probably still have them slight favourites in this game. But either way, I'd say it's there's not much between them.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely an interesting one. And then Sunday on the 12th of April in the Ulster Senior Football Championship preliminary quarter final, you have Armagh against Tyrone in the box at Athletic Grounds in Armagh at 4:15. Well, Shane, there was no prizes for guessing the big one this weekend. I think this is going to be a big one. Tyrone's league form really just not where Malik O'Rourke would have wanted it. Armagh had a good league campaign and obviously finished with a draw against Kerry down at Athletic Ground, Shane. So no love lost between these two teams. It's Malik O'Rourke against Kieran McGeeney. Let's not beat around the bush, Shane. It's box office.
Yeah, it's as good as you want to for a start of the Ulster Championship. You'd have to really fancy Armagh as favourites based off the recent form. Tyrone, they've seemed to, like you said, regress a bit. They haven't really unearthed any new players. It seemed to be they were still relying on a lot of the older heads of Matty Donnelly, and I just haven't seen them unearth any really new quality players that are going to bring them on to the next level. So I'd have to fancy Armagh here on their side. The likes of Oisin Connaughty seems to be really finding form. Oisin O'Neill as well. So I think just the quality of forward will favour Armagh in this game. But yeah, it's going to be tight like championship football. Like the league form kind of goes out the window, and it's kind of down to what kind of team shows up on the day and the aggression. And there's a lot more factors at play, I think, than just a standard league game. So I think it'll be tighter than we think.
Yeah, I think it will be. And league form obviously does go out the window. And it is Ulster Championship. And again, it's a quick turnaround after league and to get yourself up for Championship, Shane. And obviously, all about Championship. It's just different. The hopefully the weather's going to be better. The crowd's going to be at the game. The intensity levels like, to get yourself up for Championship. Like league is obviously very different towards Championship. And it's a big game. I feel it's probably a big game for even the likes of Malik O'Rourke. They're obviously under a bit of pressure. Probably it's been a bit of a Jacqueline Hyde kind of year for him so far. So going to be a bit of pressure on him. Kieran McGeeney with Armagh, we know how long he's been there. Armagh do want an Anglo Celt title, and they have been close in recent years. Like, and that's a huge game on Sunday. But it's a must win if they want to get where they want to be.
100%. Yeah, I think both teams have a must win for different scenarios. Like you said, McGeeney will they'll need a win to try and push on in Ulster, and they'll really have their eyes set on an Ulster championship. I think Tyrone will nearly want a must win just because they're playing Armagh. And sometimes that can, bring the best out of you, just having that bit of a chip on the shoulder against an old rival. So, yeah, honestly, it's tough to really to put a finger on this one. I do think Armagh will be my favourites, but again, are they going to have a little bit of league fatigue in some ways? Whereas Tyrone have had a disappointing league.
Mm,
Maybe the only way they can go is up here,
mm.
and they'll try and really get themselves up for it. So, uh, it's almost 50-50 in my book.
Draw.
Could be a draw, yeah. Could be a
Yeah.
draw, and
Go
then
all the
you'd
way.
have extra time, or is it there be no extra time?
God, I don't actually know. Would it go to a replay? Would it be a replay at that stage, or would it be an extra time? It could be extra
No,
time.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a
We'll find out.
mouth-watering one. Yeah, it's going to be a mouth-watering game this weekend. And we'll move on to Connacht Shane in the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarterfinals. You've Sligo against Leitrim in Markovitz Park in Sligo at 3 p.m. Really interesting game, that one, Shane. Obviously, Leitrim again, Jacqueline Hyde, sort of a league. Sligo had quite an impressive league campaign. It's obviously home advantage in a championship game is absolutely massive. I'd probably tip that to Sligo.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Sligo at home, you'd kind of have to fancy them. They're in a stronger division as well. They're playing a lot more quality teams, consistency. So you'd have to fancy them. Leitrim, I think they have a good performance in them, but they also they lack that bit of consistency. So you'd have to fancy Sligo here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other game in Connacht over the weekend, Shane, I suppose, your old colleagues, New York against Roscommon in Gaelic Park in New York at 8 p.m. on Sunday, Shane. So obviously you have a bit of a skin in the game here. You would have played for the New York lads and obviously enjoyed your time, no doubt, with them. And, that's going to be a big game this weekend with Roscommon coming to town. Of course, Roscommon are going to be severe favourites going into the game and potential, one of the favourites for like a Connacht title. But no doubt you'll try to get to that game.
Yeah, I'll struggle to get down to it. I'm actually going to a wedding, so I'll
Oh,
be
they are.
under
That's it.
pressure to get it. Yeah, but I'll be definitely following it. I think, yeah, I think for New York, it's more about performances and doing a justice for themselves than it is about getting a win. They'll be probably looking to try and get a good performance, build on it, and bring it into the Tarleton Cup. I think that would be the big thing that they really need to focus on because then they're playing teams that are at a similar level. So I think that would be the next step for them. And then I think for Roscommon, they'll be really trying to use it as a training weekend to kind of jump them into the championship. I think there is a lot of success for teams that Bar Leitrim, obviously, that have gone to New York and have kind of used that as a stepping stone into their championship to go on and win Connacht. So if they use it right, I think they'll get a lot out of the game and out of the weekend.
And I suppose, Shane, do you hear much kind of from the New York camp, or I suppose what players maybe are we expecting to see this weekend? Maybe any ex-intercounty players or
There will be a few excellent county players, yeah. Jack Savage from Kerry is probably the biggest name you'd say. He's won an All Ireland with Kerry. He's living in New York at the moment, and he's training away. So I'd say they'll have a few very good players. That the one thing New York will always struggle with is the turnover every season. So to be honest, I
Yeah,
don't know exactly how many. I've heard that one or two rumors, but until you see the team sheet the day before, you won't exactly know who's in and out of the camp. Because that's the one unfortunate thing with New York is it's a big commitment for people that are have left the country or
yeah, yeah,
traveling,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's kind of hard to get that group together.
Yeah, we're not going to see number 14 Shane Carthy on Sunday, are we?
No, unfortunately not. No, no.
Them days are
Too
gone,
old now
Shane.
at this stage.
You're enjoying
Yeah, yeah.
retirement. You're enjoying retirement.
Yeah, yeah, enjoying the club element anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's the crack and the fitness of going training. The routine is key for
Mm,
me. It still
like
gets the
everyone.
juices
Yeah,
flowing. Yeah, yeah, you need that more than anything. So no, I'll be still keen to try to win a Boston Championship this year, and Yeah, keep myself in good shape, and hopefully can get back to winning that championship this year.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's going to be an interesting game this weekend for the New York lads. And then in the Leinster Senior Football Championship, round one, you've Carlow against Wicklow in Netwatch Cullen Park at 2:30 on Sunday.
Yeah, I'd like to see Carlo build on their win last week. Hopefully they didn't party too hard after winning
Hmm.
the league final. Um, I'd be I think Carlo should be slight here. We have a good couple of players coming through. I wouldn't rule them. Um, but I do think Carlo will be like I wouldn't put either of those teams past getting some sort of an upset in the Leinster Championship. I think Leinster is probably the most competitive championship this year.
Yeah,
Between if you look across all four divisions, I think there's a good representation there. So I wouldn't rule out a Carlow or an Offaly or um, getting a result against the likes of a Louth or Meath or Dublin. I just think it's a really open championship, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that unfolds.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's getting better every year, Shane, make no doubt about it. And then in the last game in Leinster over the weekend, you've Longford against Westmeath in Glennon Brothers Pierce Park at 3 p.m. Interesting game, that one, Shane. Obviously, Longford fresh from their league final last weekend, and obviously Westmeath will be, I suppose, looking at a big performance this weekend after failing to just get promotion out of Division 3. And obviously, Mark Q will be targeting a big performance down in Longford this weekend, but it'll not be easy either.
No, it won't be, but I think like I've played in Longford. It's a tough place to go. I think I'd honestly fancy Longford in this one. I think they, like you said, they had a very good league. So I would fancy Longford in this game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting game, and obviously Westmeath will be mad to get the win as well, especially after just maybe not getting a promotion. But I think
Yeah.
just tip me hat to Westmeath in that particular game. I know it will be hard to go down there, but I think they'll do enough just to get the job done. And then the Munster Senior Football Championship quarter final, Shane, you've Cork against Limerick in Super Value Park Queeve at 2 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah, it's tough to see anything but a Cork win there. Like Limerick seem to have kind of fallen back in the last season. It's again those kind of weaker counties. They can have a progression of a year or two, and then sometimes a few lads will go off traveling or will leave the squad, and it really kind of dinks the sales, I guess. But yeah, I think Cork are on the rise a bit. It's hard to look past them especially at home. So yeah, you fancy Cork there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, especially after a very good performance against Meath last weekend. We'll be looking for another one this weekend, Shane. And then last game of the weekend in the championship, you've Waterford against Tipperary in Cappoquin Logistics Fairfield at 2 p.m.
Yeah, I mean Tipperary, you'd have to fancy them there against a Waterford team that I don't think they got any wins in the league.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They've been on a real kind of slide the last few seasons, so I think that would be a bit of a handy one for Tipperary.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all folds out, Shane. And I suppose to wrap up, who be your players to watch this weekend and bets of the weekend? Of course, gamble responsibly.
It's a tough one. I think Oisin Connerty anytime goal scorer would be a good one. I
If
think
he's some man down there, yeah.
yeah, I think in the Tyrone Armagh game, he got a very good goal in the Dublin game. Unfortunately for the Dubs, but he played. He played very well in that game. So I'd probably give him anytime goal scorer, and definitely someone to watch. That would be my bet anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and who'd be your bet of the weekend? Maybe a team to watch or a team to maybe look out for this weekend to maybe get a few pounds for a few people.
Team, yeah, I think it's going to be tight enough. I'd say probably Carlo. I'd probably have
Okay.
Carlo as an outside chance for making a bit of a run in the Leinster Championship.
Okay, okay. Joe Murphy will be buzzing now for the Leinster Championship. Be really interested to see how it all folds out and how it all works out. Well, Shane Carthy, it's championship time. It's hard to believe. We're really looking forward to the games this weekend and the big one on Sunday, of course. Armagh, Tyrone, and everyone will be feasting their eyes on that. And of course, the best luck to New York lads against what's common as well. No doubt Shane will be keeping a good eye on that. And well, Shane Carthy, thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, the podcast was kindly brought to you by yourgarage.com. Use my promo code JMac podcast to get 15% off on the website. Shane, thanks a million. Have a good week.
Yeah, you too. Take care.